When was the first time that you saw a starry sky? Maybe you don't remember the first time, but you remember any other time that you have been under this spectacular show. Thousands and thousands of bright spots in the sky, and you are in front of them. And if you were, or if you had the opportunity to be in front of the starry sky or under the starry sky, you can feel a connection with the universe. Did you feel that? Raise your hand. Okay, good. Because stars are special. And we all have a connection with them. Today, I'm going to tell you the biggest story that you can ever imagine, and which we are all involved. But firstly, let's go back to my first question, because I perfectly remember the first time that I saw a starry sky. When I was 6 years old, my parents decided to take me for a trip to the south of Argentina, a very beautiful place, far away from the city, close to the beach. And my brother and I, during the day, were playing probably soccer, because, you know, Argentinians, we love soccer. Should be in our national flag, but anyways. We were playing probably soccer, but the first magical moment in my life happened during the night. Because my parents decided to take us for a walk on the beach during the night. And I remember that I went, and I remember myself entering into the beach, looking up, and this spectacular show was there. Just imagine, I was 6 years old, so I asked many questions, because when you are in front of this kind of events, many questions are going to come to your mind, and many feelings as well, of course. So I asked probably thousands of questions, but I just remember 2 of them. Why are there so many of them here and not in my hometown? And secondly, what should I do in order to see them every night? Not only when I'm on holiday or far away from my city, every night. And my parents told me, the most amazing story. And they told me that there is a special group of people called scientists that they play with special toys and big toys called telescopes during the night. And they play with them. And they play with the stars. And even during the day, they have to analyze the data and they have to study the stars. So they have to work with them during the day and during the night as well. So that's, at least for me, that sounds fun, right? For a child, normal child. And at the age of 6, I decided that I wanted to become a scientist. I had no idea how. So the next obligatory question was, how can I do that, right? And they told me, okay, if you want to become a scientist, you have to go to school. And you have to study really hard, especially mathematics. So I went back to school, and I tried really hard. And I tried to solve every equation, to solve every exercise that I had at the school. But you know what happened at the end? I was really bad at school, especially at mathematics. Because I couldn't find the idea behind all of these numbers. I couldn't find the idea behind all of these equations. There were long calculations to do, and I didn't want to play with numbers. I wanted to play with stars. And for some reason, stars are fun. I mean, they are special and they are beautiful, but numbers are not, or were not for me at that point. So I got frustrated. And my parents probably saw that frustration, and they told me, hey, don't worry, maybe there is another way. Maybe in order to become a scientist, you can go and study physics and chemistry. So I went back to school, second try. I went back to school, and I tried to do my best. But at the end of the day, I didn't want to play with molecules or with long exercises or calculations. I wanted to play with stars. And I got frustrated because I was really bad with playing with numbers. But the second magical moment in my life happened during the first day of my high school. When I was probably 12 years old, I had decided that for some reasons, stars are amazing, but science was not. And science was not my field, or that's what I thought at the age of 12 probably. But the second magical moment in my life happened during the first day of my high school. And the magic was dressed as a math teacher, Eve. Eve came to our classroom and said the first day of my high school, she told us, kids, forget everything you have learned so far about mathematics. Let's start again. Today, together, we are going to calculate the distance from the planet Earth to a star. And I was like, what? How can we do that? Using numbers or using mathematics. And she showed us how to do it. So very simply, she drew 3 points on the blackboard. And she said, one of the points is a planet Earth. The other point is a star, our target. And the other point is a sun. And she said, let's make some lines. And then she asked, what do we have here? And I ask you now, which figure is that? Which figure is that? Triangle, which was obvious, right? So I knew it, because I have seen triangles many times before that class. But Eve didn't show us the Pythagoras theorem, for example. Eve told us a story about a group of people more than 2,000 years ago in Greece that were playing with triangles. And by doing that, they realized that they can describe nature just using triangles. And Eve did it for us. And Eve showed us how to play with triangles and how to play with numbers. But not only that, what's information behind all of this equation? What's information behind all of these figures and these triangles and these calculations? And at the end of the day, Eve came to our classroom every single day and didn't show us long equations or long calculations. Eve showed us how to play with numbers and what's information behind all of these numbers and what we are able to do with that information. But let's go back to the stars. Because I told you at the beginning that I wanted to tell you the biggest story that you can ever imagine. You want to hear it? Yes? Sorry. Yes, okay. Okay. You know, physicists, we need energy. So, 14 billion years ago, long time ago, there was an infinitely dense area of the space. We don't have too much information about that moment, but we know that the energy was 100%. The universe was 100% energy, and the energy was all confined in a certain space. For some reason that we don't know yet, something very quick happened, and it was called cosmic inflation. So it was not 5% or 10% like here in Austria. It was a cosmic inflation, something very big and very fast, okay? And if you do that, if the volume is increasing, the temperature is going to decrease. And the first particles of the universe are starting to appear. Astronomers were able to take a picture of that moment that was called, commonly known as a Big Bang. Just believe me, this is a picture. This is not an illustration or some idea. This is a real picture of that moment. So if the volume is increasing, the temperature is going to decrease, and the first particles are starting to appear. And when I say particles, I say protons, for example, electrons, or quarks, neutrons, starting to appear after the Big Bang. And that reminds me something very, very special. Do you know what this is? Do you remember it from chemistry? The periodic table of the elements that you probably saw during your high school. This table was not made by humans to show you molecules or elements or whatever. This table was made to show you the story of the universe after the Big Bang. Why? Because I told you that the first element, the first proton, appeared just a few moments after the Big Bang. The first proton. So if you have a look here at the number 1, hydrogen. Do you know why hydrogen is number 1? Because it has just 1 proton, and because it was the first element to appear after the Big Bang. Just for a while, the universe was energy and hydrogen. And this hydrogen is starting to collide one with each other because they had a lot of energy. So they're starting to collide. And when you have one proton colliding with another proton, you're going to have something called nuclear fusion, and you're going to have a chemical reaction. So physics gave rise to chemistry. And by this fusion, you are going to create a new element. So let's have a look at the number 2 of the periodic table. Helium. Helium was the second element to be created after the Big Bang. And if you continue with this process of adding protons, little by little, you are going to have the whole periodic table. But most important than that is that reminds me something very special. Do you know what this is? A star. Stars are very basically, giant balls of hydrogens that are converting hydrogen into helium by the same reaction that I told you before. And by doing that, they release 3 products. Helium, heat energy, the energy that you feel if you go outside in a sunny day on your skin, was produced millions of kilometers away from you in the sun. And the third one, light. Light that, of course, you can see during the day, but light that you can see during the night if you are under a starry sky. So stars are somehow connected with us. But that story is okay. Okay, it's interesting. I like it. But Lucas, you told me at the beginning that we are involved in this story. So how, right? So let me tell you the last story of today. Not so far away as the Big Bang, not so long time ago as the Big Bang, just here, in this exactly place, in this exactly galaxy, something very good happened 4 billion years ago. Not 14, just 4 billion years ago. A new star was starting to shine, our sun. Our sun was starting to shine. And orbiting our sun, there were millions of tiny, very tiny dust particles. Particles that are starting to collide one with each other to create rocks, tiny rocks. Rocks that are starting to collide one with each other to create larger rocks. Rocks that are colliding to create larger and larger and larger rocks. Until they become asteroids. And they are, until now, orbiting the space. But if you continue with this accretion process, the process of get something bigger and bigger and bigger, you have another option that is to become a planet. So that's the story of our planet Earth and the story of the asteroids. In one of these planets, something really good happened. The matter of the universe, the energy, the chemistry of the universe, the chemistry of the sun, the chemistry of these tiny rocks were mixed in a certain way to create this, the first living organism. That, by the way, was called Luca, if you can have a look. The first cell, right? So if you ask yourself, okay, but what are the ingredients to create the first cell? So mainly, we have to have 3 ingredients: DNA, lipids, and proteins, and of course, a very complex structure. But if you have DNA, lipids, and proteins, at least you have the ingredients to then create life. And that reminds me something very special as well. Do you know what this is? This is a meteorite. A piece of space material that was orbiting space, and for some reason, it falls to the ground. And if that happens, you can go to take a piece of it and go to the lab. You can come with me to the lab. And we can analyze it. And if you do that, you are going to realize that this meteorite is made of many things in a very complex structure. But it also contains DNA bases, proteins, and lipids. The ingredients to create your body is also available in space, because we are made by the star, or we were made by the stars. We have the same chemistry within us that we can find in the stars. Every element, every atom that you have in every cell that you have was created in space. And that's for me something, at least for me, something very special. Because now I can understand why, when I'm under a starry sky, I feel that connection, because we are the same thing. We are made of the same ingredients. We have the same chemistry within us. So, just to finalize, and before to say thank you, I would like to tell you that Cosmos has given us life, and science has given us the power to understand that life. Thank you very much.